Hello teacher and welcome to our group presentation. So I'm Anh and Cong Nguyen will answer the questions from chapter 7. Dat and Trong will answer questions from chapter 8 and final Trang and Kim will answer the chapter 9. So now let's begin. Now we come to the chapter 7, the question 2. An olive freeze in California sources the lemon crop. So now in this question we have two questions. First, explain what happens to consumer surplus in a market for lemon. And the second is explain what happens to consumer surplus in a market for lemonade. So now, suppose an olive freeze soars the lemon crop in California. This could lead to a decrease in the supply of lemons in the market of lemons. The following figure shows this situation. So now, the initial equilibrium is given by the intersection of demand curve and the oversupply S1. The equilibrium is price is P1 and the equilibrium quantity is Q1. So now, the decrease in the supply of lemons will lead to a leftward shift in the supply curve. The final equilibrium is given by the intersection of the demand curve and the new supply curve X2. The equilibrium is P2 and the equilibrium quantity will be Q2. So the price level increases from P1 to P2 and the quantity of lemons decrease from Q1 to Q2. The initial summer surplus was the area below the demand curve bounded by the line P1E1. So yes, this is the reserve of the consumer surplus. And now the final consumer surplus decreases by the area P1, P2, E2, E1. So now this is the new consumer surplus is the region below the demand curve by the line P1, P2, E2. Yeah. Now we come to the next question. Explain what happens to consumer surplus in the market for lemonade. Due to an increase in its price level of lemons, the lemonade industry would also suffer as lemon input is used to make lemonade is the output. So an increase in the price of inputs will increase the cost of production for lemonade producers. As a result, the lemonade producers will decrease the quantity of lemonade supply in the lemonade market. So now, as the question number 2, as I explained, but we have the scenario like the first one. So we will have the figure like the first questions. And so now in conclusion, in both markets, the consumer surplus will decrease because of an increase in the price level of lemons and lemonade. The quantity of lemons and lemonade also decreases. That's all. So now we come to the next question.
So the next is the question 3. Suppose the demand for French press rise. Explain what happens to producer surplus in a market for French press. Explain what happens to producer surplus in a market for flour. Illustrate your answer with a diagram. So a rise in demand for French press lead to an increase in producer surplus in the market for French bread. The shift on the demand curve lead to the price increase and so on. The producer surplus increase from a grade A to a grade A plus B and plus C. Next, the quantity of French bread increase lead to the demand for flour increase. The price of flour rise. The producer surplus increase from a grade D to D plus E and plus F. Not that affect producer surplus in one market, affect on producer surplus in related market.
Okay, so we will start with the chapter 8. And the question is, After the economy class one day, your friend suggests that taxing food would be a good way to raise revenue because the demand for food is quite inelastic. In what sense is taxing food is a good way to raise revenue, and in what sense is not a good way to raise revenue? Now I will show you some advantages and disadvantages. First is about the advantages. Taxing food can raise revenue for the government so that they will have more funds to encourage other activities, such as about healthcare or some social problems. And so that because of they can improve healthcare, they will have more chance to improve people's health and quality of life. Besides, it can also against the import dumping, and it will lead to many other advantages. About these advantages, it can regressive tax and it takes higher percentage from low income people, so that it will lead to some people protested because food is becomes more elastic.
So my question is, evaluate the following two statements. Do you agree? Why not? A tax that has no deadweight loss cannot raise any revenue for government. B. A tax that raise no value for the government cannot have any deadline weight loss. So in my opinion, the first statement is incorrect. An example in the case of a tax, when either supply or demand is perfectly elastic, the tax had neither effect on quality nor deadweight loss, but it does raise the value. And the next statement is also incorrect. An example, the case of 100% tax on seller with 100% tax on their sale of the good. Seller will not supply any of the good, so the tax will raise no value. Thus, the tax have a large weight loss because it reduces the quality of sold to zero.
So now we will move to chapter 9, and this is the questions number 7. Consider a country that imports a good from abroad. For each of following statements, state whether it is true or false. And number 1, the greater the elasticity of demand, the greater the gains from trade. This is the true statement because when the total surplus increases, demand is more elastic. Therefore, there are greater gains and benefits from trade. And number 2, if demand is perfectly inelastic, there are no gains from trade. This is false statement because, like the statement above, the total surplus increase when demand curve is perfectly inelastic, and of course, greater gains are realized from trade. And the last one, if demand is perfectly inelastic, consumers do not benefit from trade. This is false because when consumers' surplus increase, customers have the benefit from trade even when demand is perfectly inelastic.
Now I will answer the question number 4 of the chapter 9. Firstly, imagine that I am loved by it. For timber unestablished industry suffering from low foreign competition, and I am trying to get Congress to pass the trade restriction. So two of the 5 arguments discussed in the chapter I think would be most persuasive to the average member of the Congress are
the unfair competition argument and the job argument. Firstly, about the unfair competition argument is because that the competition from other countries have different playing field and they play by different rules. So our industry should be protected from the foreign competition. Next, about the job argument, I can argue that free trade will lead to fall in price and that can lead to reduction in production. This phenomena will lead to workers losing jobs and that will hamper our timber industry. Next part is I will name the argument that seem to make the most economic sense to me and describe the economic rationale for and again this argument for trade restriction. The answer in the unfair competition argument it is in high of the unfair practice adopted by government to capture the domestic market on other country. They may time subsidize goods produced in their country and reduce work price, leading to dropping price of goods and good work price.